the best decision of my life. That was when my life 180. The reason why I'm so comfortable where I am right now is because I'm in a place of where I'm serving.
What advice would you give to the people listening to this podcast? They're trying to break into tech sales. What advice do you give them? 3 years ago, he was battling addiction and facing a felony. Today, he's a husband, a father, and an 80K fully remote tech sales rep. In just 32 days, Joseph Blue turned his entire life around. Today's episode is deep, it's heavy, and it's also pretty faith-centric. So, disclaimer for any of you that aren't Christians, don't worry, you don't have to be a Christian to learn from this episode. There's a lot of wisdom in here that's going to encourage you on your tech sales journey. Enjoy. Take us to a year ago. What was life like? Why did you have that big epiphany of, I need to be a provider?
Yeah, so a year ago, like I said, literally a year ago today, I held my baby girl. And at that point, I was a personal trainer and I was still actually in college. So I was still using my GI Bill to go to school and study exercise science. And I was working on um, what I wanted to do is get my certified strength and conditioning coach, and eventually kind of like be a, a CSCS for like a football team or something like that. And that was the idea. But there's not a lot of money when you're going to school, and the personal training job wasn't making me a lot of money. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't providing the way that I wanted to. And in doing that, my wife, 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks after our daughter was born, was already back on with all
Mm.
of her business and stuff. She's an online coach, so she coaches women and like she just took on all of her clients, took on sales calls, and just constantly took on more and more and more work while she was
Yeah.
like trying to, have our baby girl. And we didn't have daycare at first, so like she was just trying to balance it all. Here I am going to school and kind of doing my own thing and that, and I just that was kind of the start of like our marriage, right? Was just kind of like very tense, she was kind of feeling very um suffocated, and
Mm.
even like the word jealousy, right? Like she was like, "Well, you're getting to do your own thing, and now you want to go do this," and I didn't like the marriage that I was in, right? Like I didn't like, and it wasn't
Yeah.
on her. By no means, it was not on her, because when you take a step back and you look at where she's coming from and everything, she's not even able to be the mom that she wanted to be, right? To our newborn,
Yeah.
and
I was going to say, your wife sounds really strong, but I also know going to work 2 weeks after having a baby is probably not a mom's dream,
no,
right?
because they want us.
So I can imagine
Yeah,
that was just not a great place, and it's hard because you guys just had a baby together. It's like it's a hard place to not be in a happy, great, joyful marriage. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like we've got this baby, but it's almost like there's more stress involved
yeah.
than anything else.
Like the stakes were raised, and that's a good way to put it. Like if from my side of it, right? We were talking about her side, but from my side of it was the stakes were raised, and
Mm,
from my side of it, even my own perspective and stuff was I wasn't stepping up to the plate. I didn't feel
mm,
that when I was holding this baby and I said, I don't care what it takes, like I'm gonna be the best dad that I can be. I'm gonna provide for her the best way that I can provide. I don't care what it takes. Like I said that promise to myself in my head, right? When I'm holding her and I'm looking at her for the first time and I have her laying on my chest, and I wasn't stepping up to that promise that I made to
mm.
myself. Instead, I was like, well, I'm just going to continue going down this way and stuff. And so for me, I felt very divided, right?
Yeah.
So like a part of me, and this is where I always talk about this too, and since I've been really praying and talking to God a lot more, he's been kind of making me see it, is that there's my higher self, right? And then this is what I call like the man that's in me
Hmm.
and my higher calling. And this is the path that God wants me to walk, is being my higher self, being the man. And then there was like a boy that was still in me, that was still immature, that still, had his selfish, I guess you could say passions or whatever you want to call them, right? Like,
I can relate to
yeah,
that. Yeah, the transition from being a man, you think you're a man, but really like there's a lot of boyish tendencies and
yeah,
mindsets versus a true man. I get that. Yeah.
yeah. So, whereas the promise was being made by the man when I was holding her, the boy was taking over and still continuing to go down that path, right? Of like, well, I'm
Mm,
going to, because I want to be a strength and conditioning coach for a football team, and that's my dream. And
mhm.
this, and it would take another 3 years for me to finish my degree, to get into the job search process, to even get the job. And in full transparency, the average salary for a strength and conditioning coach, and this is if you're even on like a college level, collegiate level, is roughly in the beginning like $60,000. So you're talking about like a
Wow.
60K salary. So it's, I would have
That's for
three
a few
more,
years of school
yeah, three
working for
more
a
years of school.
collegiate football team.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, something has to change. And
Okay.
that's what led me, because obviously I was doing personal training, and that's kind of like where my background was fitness and everything. And I'm like, well, how can I do this, right? How can I take skill sets? I was a Marine before that, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I can do. But
Yeah.
um with full transparency, um yeah, I found you, right, on LinkedIn.
Mm,
I had gone through course careers before that, got that certification, and it led me really nowhere. I came into a block trying to find a job, and it didn't serve me well, and I was getting
yeah.
frustrated. And when I got on LinkedIn, I found your profile, because, and this is what made it feel like God led me this way, because
Mm,
before that, I went through a bad batch of like alcoholism and addiction. Right after the Marine Corps, I got out of the Marine Corps in 2020. My brother passed away 6 months after that. And yeah, I spent the next 3 years, in and out of treatment, in trouble with the law, um, got a felony level DUI, you know,
yeah.
and yeah, it was really tough. And I just I felt like I didn't know where to go. But when I
Mm,
found your page, and then I seen your background, like from addiction to, overcoming that, to getting into tech sales. And then what also like really spoke to me was how much faith, um posts, that you had, speaking about God, speaking how he came in, he changed your life and everything. And something internally in me was like, I need to seek this guy out. Like, I need
mm.
to. And so I reached out and got into your program, and it was the best decision of my life, because
Wow.
that was when my life 180'd. Because
Wow.
I know we had hopped on the phone, and even just watching, the the modules and everything in the program, it had said that the average person, you know, takes about 38 to 39 days in the program. And I got my offer in 32 days. 32 days. And
Come on, bro.
that was what was crazy, is like all I did was put my head down, did the work, did exactly, what you told me. We hopped on many phone calls together, and we practiced interviews together, and you literally walked me step by step
Mm,
through every step of the interview process. And the very first company that reached out to me had me go through the first interview. I got to the second interview, and then I did your process. Like, I got to the third interview, and literally got a call the next day from the manager, was like, "Yeah, we want to verbally give you an offer."
Quick interruption, y'all. If you need help breaking into tech sales, linked below is an invite to our Breaking into Tech Sales community. In there, you're going to find resume help, LinkedIn help, where to find good jobs to apply to, how to interview, literally everything you could need to go land a great job in tech sales completely free. Go get signed up. Back to the episode. The problem with that too was that it almost happened too fast, where you were like, hold on, wait, like there's some other opportunities that I kind of want to learn more about, and this is happening so fast.
Yeah.
And we were able to ultimately discern that like this would be the right company for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because another company did come back around and also give me an offer. And it's really funny because this company that I'm at now, ultimately they saw past even because they did a background check too. And they
Mhm.
saw past, my felony, my background. You know, I'm not squeaky clean here, I've had my run-ins and stuff, but
Mhm.
um that other company, that's ultimately, and that's what I think is so funny because when I think about it, when I think about like when God opens doors and he closes doors, it's because he wants you to go where he knows he needs you to. And that's
Mm,
funny that, this other company came back around, but God did not want me going there. He really was pulling in
yeah,
my heart to be here with this
yeah.
company. And um yeah, so like that background check kind of shut that door for me on that company. And that's what's so funny is I think we had talked about that during the interview process, that I had this fear that was hanging over me, that like I was, and it wasn't even like the fear of like, it was taking that guilt and really turning it into shame. And that was my
Mm,
problem, was I was saying that I was no good, right? Like I
yeah.
did these bad deeds and stuff. And, I had hurt my own family during that time. I had hurt other people during that time. Um, and I was taking all these bad deeds that I did during that time, and I was saying that I was that, right? That was the shame
Mm,
that I was holding on to. And when we had hopped on that call before that interview, right? You were like, I think you're super prepped. Like everything you've shown me, everything you've sent me, like you were really prepped for this interview. I want to talk to you. And because I can feel your energy, and you really pulled that out of me of like when I brought to you, like, I'm feeling this shame. And you reached out, and it's like you knew. And we had that strong talk, which set me
mm.
up better for the interview because I got to lay that down. And that was
Yeah.
where that anxiety inside of me internally was coming from, was that I was holding on to that shame.
Mm,
And me and you, we prayed together, you know, we said, to lift this off of me, to lay it at the altar, at the feet of Jesus, and to really lift the shame. And I mean, I really felt that, it was such a critical moment because I felt so different. I felt so much lighter going into that
mm.
interview because I was prepped. I was ready. I did all my research. I did everything. Um, but that was the one thing, is like, oh, like I hope they don't ask about gaps in work history or ask about past things or this or
I
that.
felt like you were kinda skirting it the whole
Yeah,
time, like
but
you were gonna get away with it
yeah,
not being a thing. Yeah.
and when you helped me walk through that, and you helped me talk about that, and you allowed me the space to be able to talk about it too, I was able to leave that, and I didn't have to do this skirty motion of like, "Oh, I don't need to, like, let's go away from that. Let's go." No, I mean, I was very confident. I came into that interview very confident, like
Mhm.
everything. And that's what I mean, is like you changed me, not
Mm.
just seeking out the job, not just seeking out like the tech role and teaching me about, tech sales and everything, but you changed me internally. And that's why, I mean, like when I say I'm forever grateful, like I am forever grateful because my wife, she has said it actually so much. She's like, ever since you started this position, and yeah, even after we had this little run in with the other offer and all this back and forth and all this little corporate politics that kind of was going on, once the official dust had settled on all of that, she was free. And she said, your energy has changed. And she's like, and this is, this is really something that was powerful that she said to me. It was like 2 weeks into her knowing me. We were sitting out by a bonfire here, and she said, she's like, I don't know, there's something about you, your energy." She's like, "I can just see something." And she's like, "I think you're meant for something great." And I can't tell, but like I can see it. And I'm like, "Yeah,
Mm.
sure, whatever." Like, you only know me for 2 weeks like that. But she said that when it was literally last week, right before we had our daughter's birthday party over the weekend and stuff. She was just like, "You stepping up and being so happy about putting things together and making the house nice and putting the party together and just being so
Mm.
present." She was like, "This is the guy, like being a provider, being
Yeah.
present with us and loving your daughter." And she's like, "All of this that I'm seeing," she's like, "that was the guy that I seen when I knew you like 2 weeks at that little bonfire we were at." And she
So
was like,
crazy. It reminds me so much of my wife and I's story because we met in high school and I was an idiot in high school, like probably most of us were.
yeah,
And I don't know why she stayed with me. Truly, like I was awful to her. I would lie behind her back and I was dishonest and I was just terrible. And she always told me like, "Jack, I know who you're really supposed to be. You're not him yet." And it was the same thing where I call her my angel because she really has seen who I was called to be and like what God created me for. And even when I wasn't living that way, she was still willing to walk with me through that. And now she's on the other side where she gets to benefit from the Jack that she always knew was there.
yeah,
And so I'm so encouraged by I'm moved by your story, man, because it's what happened with my wife and I. And shout out to these women who, for whatever reason, they just don't give up on us.
yeah. No, really. Just like for clarity and stuff for anybody that sees this, but my wife had known me right about the time we had known each other maybe 2 months, 2 months leading up to my brother's death, leading up to when he passed away. And it was actually her birthday party. I had got her a cake and everything, and I was going to her birthday party when I got the phone call from my brother's wife. Um, because he had passed away in an accident. Um, and she completely canceled her party. She's like, "I just want to be with you tonight." She knew like I was, you know, going through it, and that full stage of, and I always say this, but I I can't remember 3 years, 3 years, and that was just because I was just living blacked out during that time, and I know I was very, very mean to her, very, you know, just not a good person, and she stuck by it throughout all of it. She's the one that helped me to seek treatment not once, but a couple of times, but consistently stayed there and just kept seeing something. And like that's what I mean is like she gave me a huge hug because she was crying. Um, Man, and it made me start to cry too. But yeah, and she said you've really stepped into what I've actually stuck by you through. All of it, because this is the guy that I knew was there. And that's what I mean is you stepping into my life has allowed me to fill those boots, I guess to say, that she had always seen were there. And
Yeah.
so like I I owe you more than a thank you.
Mm,
Like you are powerful and you move people's lives in ways that
mm,
affect not just that person that gets the job, but families and you know how their relationship is, their marriage is, how those kids are going to grow up. It's a rippling effect, but it's very much a very, very big impact. And
thank you.
I can't say I I think thank you is not enough of a word to really express it. But
Well, I really believe that the impact that I'm able to have, however big or small relatively you want to look at it, it's because God has created all of us with the potential to make an impact like that. Because I was the guy at 19 in a jail cell. Like I was the guy who similar to you, like making similar boneheaded decisions that just led to nowhere, hurt a lot of people, and there's no reason I should be here today. But it's amazing how God will use the pain in your life to turn into someone else's healing and blessing, and it's someone like you who comes along and says, "Dude, you were where I am. Like you were there. How did you navigate this way?" And I'm like, "Dude, I like we just do it God's way and he takes care of the rest." And for you to be showing up as the husband and the father that you're able to show up as now, that is I don't need thank yous, man. I need more men like you to storm this earth so that we can go, defeat hell through being strong men, not in a ego, cocky, arrogance way, but strong in the way we love and we provide and we serve. So you taking care of your family, that's the biggest thank you you could give me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has been the big eye opener. I I struggled really hard when I was forced to leave the Marine Corps. So I broke my leg, right? Was kind of pushed out the door, but I had a lot of pride and a lot of I felt like I was there, right? Like I very much embraced the Marine Corps and all of its principles and everything. But what I noticed is when I've thought about this, and I thought about this recently, is the reason why I'm so comfortable where I am right now is because I'm in a place of where I'm serving. And it was a similar situation when I was wearing the uniform. I was in a place of where I was serving. And so it kind of gives you like a purpose. And that is what I lost along the way after, my brother, after, kind of being medically separated from the Marine Corps and everything. I just kind of lost my purpose, my service to others. And now I have a family. Now I have and not just my baby girl. I have my two stepkids, my two older stepkids. So and a beautiful boy and girl and a beautiful baby girl and my wife. And now I have a family to serve. And
Mm,
I have this ability to provide and to do
mm,
that. And stepping into that is what has really made me completely fulfilled inside. Like what was missing is now full. And
yeah.
it is it's really God, right? God has stepped into that as like I will provide. I laugh about it with my wife now. But when that second offer was coming around, we were stumbling around because it was more money and this and this and this. But I had sticky notes written on my computer, and the two sticky notes said, I will achieve an 80K OTE tech job. And the other sticky note says, I will be present every single day with my family. And it's so funny that the job and position that I'm in now is exactly that, right? It's fulfilled that 80K plus OTE, and it allows me the space because it is fully remote to be completely and 100% present. Even even during the days, like even during the work days and stuff, little spots in between my meetings and stuff. Like if I can go and give that to my wife to go upstairs and just give her a kiss and a hug, or to go and hold my baby girl if she's here, not at daycare. It's just it gives me that flexibility and allows me to be really present with my family, and it literally
Yeah.
fulfills both of those. And I think it's so funny that God has provided very much so.
Yeah.
As soon as me and you we had that prayer, we say we lay it at your feet, and I know that, I surrender to your will, and I know you'll provide. And it's so funny
Mm,
because he has. And I feel that and I see that, and that's why I feel what was empty and missing. I used to say my brother kind of left a little bit of a void in me. I
mm,
don't feel that void. It feels full. I feel full. And
mm,
and that to me is me feeling that Holy Spirit. It's me feeling, Jesus in me. It's me feeling God, our Father, and what He has planned for me and has plans for me,
mm,
and that's what I mean is like I have been very much getting into my faith, and it's just been a 180 night and day from the moment I met you to the moment you know, now, right? And it's
Mm.
just so funny that 365 days later from the day my daughter was born, like, I have finally found this place where I feel like I'm no longer have my house built in sand, but I have my house built on his foundation
Mm.
that stands strong.
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I what I love about the conversation we're having is so many of these episodes that we film for this podcast, they're very much about like, oh, I landed a 90K role in 27 days, amazing tech company. How'd we do it? It's very not in a bad way, it's just kind of surface. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we got a job. Cool. But what I'm seeing from your story is your job, your career, it's tied to your purpose. Not that it is your purpose, but it's a way to fulfill your purpose.
Mhm.
And so to see a guy like you who a year ago you were very much out of gear. You were in neutral. Like you were just waddling around like, if you're on a stick shift, you can
Yep.
just kind of float that
Just
stick
letting it
shift around.
coast. Yep.
Yeah, just letting it coast. But I see you a year later and you're in gear five, bro. Like you're like, I'm locked into my purpose now. And because of that, sure, the job's great, great company, great pay, it's remote, so on and so forth. That's all great, but it's what you being in purpose allows you to do for the things that really matter in
Mhm.
life, your marriage, your family, your calling. And so to see you on this metamorphosis and to see you on the other side here and just 32 days later, right?
Yeah.
It's just so cool how when we decide to do it God's way, he takes care of us.
And he does. He truly does. And that's and that to me, and I told I told my wife, I said, there is there is no it is absolutely priceless. And when I say this, like, it's not even about like the ins and outs of your program or anything. It's about the interaction and impact that you've made with me personally on a personal level. There's been so many times where I've literally you've given me your personal number and I have texted you and we have called and we have had those conversations and we have actually and you've sat there on that phone with me where I feel lost, right? Bringing that anxiety, bringing that stress, and you're like, we need to put right, we need to bring this to God. We need to have that conversation with God, and we walk through it like that. And I'm like, that is absolutely priceless to me because that was the biggest effect and change that it had on me internally that really uh one thing is funny, like when we were going through that the political corporate politics for like trying to seek the other job and like all this back and forth and everything. And I got stressed because I actually was that close to losing both roles because I
Mhm.
had told my manager that I was going to leave this role for this other role. And then this other role came back and said, with your background, we're not so sure. And so I thought both roles were kind of gone. And I remember that this was a very strong moment for me. And I'm fully good with the transparency here. Um, but that was one of the biggest times that I had ever had a craving for
Mm.
alcohol, to go back to alcohol because I was super stressed. I was mad at myself. I was ashamed that I did this and that and whatever. And instead of going to the freezer where I know my wife keeps her tequila for her little margaritas that she has on the weekends sometimes, I was like, this is not me anymore. This is not what he has put internally in me. When I talk about the boy and the man, the boy was what was doing that, what led me down that path. And the man that he's asking me to be, that he's saying, if you step into this, this is where I make the most impact in your life. And this is where I can use you in service to me to make a big impact in others' lives. And at that moment, I had that big craving and I wanted to so bad, so bad. And the thing that I did is I went to the backyard and I got down on my knees and I prayed and I just spoke. just spoke to him, and I said, if it's your will, you're going to make this um pan out whatever way you make it pan out, whatever path you have. If I lose both roles, well, then it's back to the job search. It's back to finding the next role. It's back to interviews and everything. And we just get back on that wagon. If you still have me with one role and not the other, then I know that that's the path you have on me. And that's what I said is when I was having all this anxiety and all this stress, I just said, I give it to you. And I know you'll take care of me. And I know you will speak to me through actions of what I see. And I will follow your lead because if I'm not supposed to work for either of these companies, then that's what your will is. And I know I'll find a good one. And it just so happened that my manager's like, no, actually, we have some discussion to have, but they had me back and they said there's no problem with it. I got in front of everybody over voice meeting or Teams meetings like this. I verbally apologized to everybody, kind of, you know, took it on the chin, right? But
Yeah.
very humbly, you know, just apologized to everybody, and it was water under the bridge. And the company and now like I've taken off and I've already gotten 5 opportunities that are on the books and stuff within like 6 7 days of taking on a full lead list. Like so for 1 week, actually creating 5 ops, and I'm like, and I'm not done with this week. So like
Come
it's
on. It's only Wednesday.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
um,
So,
Well, man, I just really appreciate everything you shared today. I appreciate the transparency and just being real because it's not just about the job. It's about everything the job allows you to do, who it allows you to show up as. And as we wrap up here, I guess my closing question to you is, what advice would you give to the people listening to this podcast? They're trying to break into tech sales. It's literally called the Breaking into Tech Sales podcast. What advice do you give them?
stay stay to it. I know it seems like you won't make it, and I know that it seems like all the effort you're putting in could feel like it's just a waste of time, and maybe you don't hear back from people, and maybe you get ghosted and this and that, or maybe people just come back and say you're not the right fit and all of this. I am telling you, if you stay faithful to the job search and you stay faithful to God, He will provide. And the best way to do that is to still, regardless of the outcome, put in the hard work. Continue to put in the hard work every single day, whether you get rejected, whether you get crickets, continue to put in the hard work and it will pay off. It will.
Amen. You guys should probably listen to Joseph because he just landed an 80K fully remote role in 32 days. So probably take that advice seriously. And yeah, thank you all for listening. Look, if you need help breaking into tech sales, we've got a couple resources. There's the free training linked below. There's the free school community you can join. But also, if you want to do what Joseph did and come work with me, there's a link to meet with my team to see if we can help you out. And if we can, we'll get you right. We'll get you into a tech sales role just like we did Joseph. So, Joseph, thank you, man. This was super encouraging for me as a coach to see the transformation, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. Hey, anybody that's listening, Jack is amazing. Okay. And I promise you that.